This episode of Choice Conversations is brought to you by The Sitting Solution. The Sitting Solution, it's a product I use. Sitting, it's been linked with poor health, disease, premature aging. There's a lot of great studies that have come out that back this up. I'll put a few links in the show notes to these studies. So, for example, that's been linked with increased waist circumference, higher blood pressure, higher blood glucose levels. It's been linked with blunting the activity of enzymes that are involved in fat burning. And it's also been linked to increased risk in diabetes, heart disease, and even early death. And so this is where the Sitting Solution comes in. The Sitting Solution, it's more than just decreasing the amount of time that you spend sitting. There's a lot of work to be done to correct how your body has adapted to sitting. A lot of restorative exercises, if you will. So the Sitting Solution, it can help you out if you're having back pain. It can help you get a better night's sleep. It'll improve your appearance, your health, your mood, your confidence, self-esteem, and influence. It can definitely help in all of these things. And I'm a big fan of it. So check out the Sitting Solution. Please, please, please use the link that is in the show notes to this. If you use the link to the Sitting Solution found in the show notes for this Choice Conversations episode, then you'll also be helping me out. A portion of that will go to keeping Choice Conversations up and running. So I would appreciate that, and I think you'll be pleased. It's a really, really good product, or I wouldn't be supporting it. And now, on to the show. Hello and welcome to Choice Conversations. I'm your host, Chris Stefanik. Today is the first episode of a new series. This is the My Life series. So I've gotten a lot of requests from people asking me to give more details on the routines that I use in my life, on what my strategies are to be successful, to improve my health, to be more productive. And so that's what this series is going to be all about. I have a lot of tips and tricks, lifestyle design related things, lifestyle hacks, if you will, that I've picked up over the years, reading a lot of self-help books, talking to a lot of people that are in this area, in this space, and have had a lot of success. I've really made some huge, huge changes in my life. And, hey, I aim to please. You guys have asked for it, so here it is. Today, in the first episode, I'm going to start off with my bedtime routine. So I figure the start of any day is actually your bedtime routine from the night before. That good night's sleep is so important to any day. So rather than starting with my morning routine, I'm actually going to start with my bedtime routine because that kind of sets the tone for the whole next day. Now, in order to get a good night's sleep, there's a whole lot of things that go into getting a good night's sleep, and you can actually spend your entire day setting up your sleep from the morning. The minute you get up in the morning, begin choosing activities that will help promote you to have a good night's sleep that night. Things like getting lots of daylight during the day will help you to sleep at night. It helps you to get your circadian rhythms set right, to get your internal clock right. Getting your blood sugar under control. So if you eat a high carbohydrate diet, this is going to mess up your hormones. And your hormones is also what's used to help regulate your sleep, to get your circadian rhythms in line, to make you tired at night and awake and fresh in the morning. So we'll get into all of that stuff, like what my day looks like, in future episodes of the My Life series. I'm going to go ahead and jump into the point right around when 8, 9 o'clock at night, again, a big component of getting a good night's sleep is the light you're exposed to, and that includes getting lots of light during the day and not getting a lot of light before bedtime. So a good rule of thumb is if the sun is high in the sky, you should either be outside. If the sun is up, I should say, you should either be outside getting that sunlight, or if you're inside, have a lot of light on. Have bright lights. Don't be sitting in a dungeon. I work with people who refuse to turn on the lights in their offices, and they sit in the dark all day long, and then they're up half the night, and so their body's completely thrown off by this. So if the sun is up, you want lots of light, and better yet is to be outside, but if you have to be inside, be getting lots of light. Of course, a room that has a lot of natural light is the best. So in our house, we have a sunroom, and that's my favorite room. I spend a lot of my indoor time during the day in that sunroom because we've got, just glass all around, skylights in the ceiling. So that's perfect. So any room that has a lot of natural light is good. And on top of that, turn the lights on as well, especially if you don't have that natural light. Be sure to turn the lights on and don't be afraid to turn them on bright when it's during the daytime, during normal daylight hours. When the sun goes down, you kind of reverse. At that point, you want to start backing off on the light. So if you have lights around the house that have dimmers on them, lower the lights. Some people go to extremes and won't even have electric lights once the sun goes down. They're using a candlelight or put a fire in the fireplace or whatnot. I don't quite go to that extreme. But one thing I will do is after 9 o'clock at night, I will put on amber glasses. So these are amber glasses that they kind of wrap around my face a little bit. So they're in the front of my eyes, and then they wrap around the sides. And what the amber does is it blocks out any blue light. So blue light is what signals your brain, what signals your body that it's daytime. At nighttime, if you're out in the wild, there is no natural blue light out. And so if you are getting blue light, which there's lots of sources of blue light around your house. Of course, if you're watching TV or on your phone or things like that, there's going to be blue light there. You can either try to get rid of all those sources of blue light, or you can put on glasses. I kind of try to do both, eliminate as much blue light as possible. But just to be sure, I put the glasses on at night. And then likewise, like I had said, I try to avoid watching too much TV at night or being on my phone, especially at 9 o'clock is kind of like the drop dead time. So at 9 o'clock, turn off my laptop, turn off my phone. I also have set up on my phone and my laptop programs running that dim the screen when the sun sets. So on my laptop, it's a program called Flux. So it's f.lux. It automatically adjusts to whatever the sunset is in your area, and on the sunrise, it looks at whatever your regional time settings are. And when the sun sets, it dims the screen and it blocks the blue light in the screen. So that's helpful. And in my phone, I couldn't find Flux for my phone. I have an Android, but I believe, let me look real quick at what program I have. I found a program that's essentially the exact same thing. Ah, yes, here it is. It's called Twilight. That's what I'm using on my Android phone. When I went into the Play Store, the App Store, there were several of them on there for free. So Flux is free. Twilight was free. Go ahead and install these on your devices, and they will help you out. So at least you're not getting that real bright light, or not blasted by blue if you do get on your phone late at night. But in general, like I said, even though I have those programs, I still try to minimize that screen time at night. Another thing I do at nighttime, getting ready for sleep, is I try to start slowing down on drinking water. Getting water is really healthy for you. It's great for slowing down aging and just all kinds of things for your immune system. I'm sure if you just do a search for studies, a Google Scholar search, you can find a whole myriad of studies confirming the benefits of drinking sufficient amounts of water. But water is going to cause you to have to wake up and urinate if you have a lot of water late at night. So around 7 o'clock, I usually start slowing down on water, and around 8 o'clock, I try to, at that point, not really have water or anything else to drink. for the rest of the night, other than maybe a couple sips. If I'm really thirsty, I don't just make myself suffer. I'll go have a couple sips, but limit it to only a few sips of a beverage after 8 o'clock at night. So another thing that I will do to help with getting a good night's sleep is I supplement magnesium. So magnesium is something that most people, that if you're not supplementing it, and at least in America, I can't speak for the rest of the world, but most people are deficient on magnesium. And even me, where I'm eating like a paleo diet and trying to eat like a lot of whole foods and the like, I still have trouble getting enough magnesium. And if I don't supplement, I typically don't get enough of it. I've tracked my nutrition at numerous times in the past using sites like FitDay. If you go to fitday.com, it's a free site where you can punch in your food and the like, and it will track your nutrients over time, and you can run reports and all of that. Basically, I have a heck of a time getting enough magnesium if I don't supplement. So it's something I supplement. What they found is magnesium, shortly after you digest it, it will decrease cortisol. Cortisol is a stress hormone that can cause you to not be able to fall asleep at night. Cortisol levels should be at their highest in the morning when you're awake and bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and they should be at your lowest levels at night. Some people who have their hormones all out of whack from eating like a lot of carbohydrates and other various things will have that reversed, where their cortisol levels are highest at night and lowest in the morning. And that's why they can't fall asleep at night, but yet they're dead tired in the morning. Well, magnesium can help with that. I mean, of course, if your blood sugar's out of whack, you need to take care of that. This isn't a cure for that, but it is something good that you can do as well. So around 8 o'clock, sometimes I don't remember to do it at 8, and it's more like 9 or 10, but they say ideally about 2 hours before bedtime, so I go to bed about 10. So I target 8 o'clock to take my magnesium supplement. Just trying to stack the deck in my favor for getting a good night's sleep. Every little thing I can do to stack that deck, I do, so that I get a good night's sleep. I think that's all of the things that I do up until near bedtime. These are like the pre-bedtime routine things I do. And now we can start getting into the bedtime routine. Although I think before I do that, I'll talk a little bit about my sleep cave and get into that a little bit, because of course that's a big component as well. Your environment is certainly going to play a large part, your environment, into whether or not you have a good night's sleep. And again, just trying to stack that deck, put as many things in my favor for a good night's sleep. So for any sleep cave, the biggest thing you want to do is to eliminate sources of unnatural light. A lot of the people will do things like getting rid of their alarm, closing up their windows with all kinds of crazy stuff that 100% blocks out all light. I don't go that far. I do have a man-made source of light, street lights, coming through my windows. I have a heavy curtain, but it does not get them 100%. So what I've opted to do instead of more drastic measures with blocking out all of that light is to wear a sleep mask. Now, I don't know how many of you have tried sleep masks, but they vary in quality. There are a couple issues with a lot of them. For one, just staying on your head through the night can be a problem. Another can be actually blocking out all the light. If the sleep mask doesn't come down far enough on your face, light will still come up underneath. What I use, which was actually recommended to me by Tim Ferriss, so he's one of the masters of lifestyle design, is Sleep Master. So if you just go on Amazon and search for Sleep Master sleep masks, they have these sleep masks that are awesome for staying on through the night. I just got one for my birthday on December 18th, 2015. I'm recording this January 27th, 2016, and I think to this date, so we're talking about 40 days, to this date, I think only 3 times that I wake up and the sleep mask was not over my eyes, where maybe it slipped down lower on my face or it slipped off the top of my head. 37 nights out of 40, it stayed in place, which I don't know what your experience has been like with sleep masks, but as far as my experience goes, that's really, really good, because normally they come off pretty readily. So there's that. The other thing that the sleep mask does as well is it comes very far down on the face, not just covers like the eye sockets in your skull, but comes down about halfway on your cheek with a real thick, dark material that does a great job of blocking light from coming in. So it's definitely by far the best one I've seen, the best one I've used. And it wraps around the ears. So they claim that this helps with actually muffling sound to help you to sleep better in that way as well. I've not really noticed it to be that great at muffling sound, but that is one of their claims, and it is putting something over your ears. There's a soft cushiony material that wraps around your head going over your ears, so I'm sure it does block sound at least a little. So, every little bit helps. Speaking of sound, another thing we want to do for good sleep is to make sure you're not being awoken by sounds that are out and about, traffic and the like. Traffic used to wake me up in the morning. I've since gotten an air filter, a HEPA air filter for my room. So this is dual purpose here. On one hand, I'm getting some high quality air, the breathing in at night, which can help with sleep and help with health to have an air filter. But also it just creates white noise. So I've really noticed a big difference since I've had this air filter that traffic doesn't wake me up anymore. My wife doesn't wake me up as much as she used to. Having some kind of white noise generator is great. I like the killing two birds with one stone by getting an air filter that has a nice white noise sound coming with it as well. But if you already have an air filter and it's not creating enough white noise, or perhaps you're just not interested in an air filter, I would recommend getting a white noise generator, unless this just isn't a problem. You live out in the country and you're never woken by sounds. But every little bit I can get to stop things that would interrupt my sleep, the better. So I've definitely noticed a big difference that I'm not woken up by random sounds since I've started having white noise from this filter. All right, and I think that takes us up to about 30 to 60 minutes prior to bed. So again, I go to bed about 10 o'clock. So usually around 9:30, I'm looking to just completely chill out at that point. By the time 9 o'clock rolls around, I've already started to wind down a bit. I've got my lights dimmed, weaning myself off of computers and phones and televisions and things like that. But come 9:30, at that point, it's, that's the drop dead time for any kind of electronics and time to just relax. So there's been pretty much two things that I like to do with the last minutes of my day before I actually get into bed and go to sleep. And that's reading and stretching. I enjoy that time to sit down and read a book. Or sometimes I'll do some stretching. My go-to stretches are from The Sitting Solution. I interviewed Chad Walding, the author of The Sitting Solution, a couple episodes ago. I highly recommend you check out that podcast. I highly recommend you go to the link to The Sitting Solution in the show notes and click on that and purchase it. There's some awesome stretches in there, and I enjoy doing those right before bed, as well as throughout the day. But bedtime, that's a nice time to unwind, and if there's anything tight in my body, loosen it up, and then curl up in front of a book. So then when I get into bed, the first thing I like to do is say some affirmations. So I did a whole podcast on the power of positive thinking with Anthony Samaroff a few months back, where I go into some details on that, but I'm a big fan of affirmations. Basically, the idea behind it is, thoughts lead to actions, which lead to outcomes. So in this case, the action I'm leading towards is a good night's sleep. And, the outcome is to just be successful in my life and have good health. So this is the affirmation that I say when I lie in bed at night. Tonight, I am going to get a great night's sleep. I'm going to fall asleep quickly, sleeping deeply and soundly, sleeping through the night without interruption. This sleep is going to bring me dreams that are pleasant and insightful, This sleep is going to bring my body, mind, and spirit everything it needs so that tomorrow I will awaken completely rested, restored, renewed. That I'll be young, healthy, and full of vitality. That I will be healed and whole. And then I like to often include some repetition in my affirmations. I think repetition can help things to sink in. So I will close out this affirmation with, I will fall asleep quickly. I will have a great night's sleep. Now, often, because my body is just so used to when I'm saying these affirmations and getting in this state of mind, I'm often falling asleep before I even finish these affirmations at this point. It's one of those things where my mind knows that once I start saying this, okay, that's the cue to turn off and go to sleep. And it's really like almost like flipping a switch. I start my affirmations and I immediately feel myself starting to fall asleep. So I used to lie in bed for, quite often an hour, sometimes 2 hours or more, trying to fall asleep at night. And that literally never happens anymore. I can't tell you the last time I laid in bed for an hour. Usually I don't make it through my bedtime routine, which I'm about to finish up for you. But if I do make it through it, it's, maybe a minute or two later and I'm out because I'm so sleepy by the time I'm done with it. And I should mention that while I'm saying these affirmations, I'm usually breathing deeply and I'm paying at least a little attention to my breath. I will breathe in, and then as I'm breathing out, I will say, tonight I'm going to have a great night's sleep. Breathing in, as I'm breathing out, I'm going to fall asleep quickly, and so on. So I'm doing a kind of a breathing practice while I'm doing my affirmations. Then once I complete that first set of affirmations, I have a second one, which is also even more meditation like this next set of affirmations, which is just relaxing my body. So I will just start at the bottom and work my way up. Breathe in, and then when I'm breathing out, I will say to myself, this is not vocalized in case that wasn't clear, but I will say in my mind, my feet and toes are relaxed. While I'm going through this, I will have like my attention on that part of my body. So when I say that, my attention will be on my feet, and I'll just feel whatever stress or tension in there just goes away, how the muscles just release. And breathe in, and breathe out. My calves and shins are relaxed. Breathing in, and then while I'm breathing out, my thighs are relaxed. And again, I work my way all the way up through my body till at the very end, I'm like, my face is relaxed. My mouth and jaw are relaxed. And then once I've completed the individual components of my body, again, I'll take a deep breath. And while I'm breathing out, I will say, my entire body is relaxed. Breathing in, while I'm breathing out, my mind is relaxed. And that completes my affirmations, my bedtime prayer, if you will. And it is very, very rare that I make it all the way through that without falling asleep. I used to actually try to do the one where I relax my body first, and then I would say the parts where I'm like, I'm going to have a great night's sleep, I'm going to sleep deeply and soundly, have good dreams, etc. I used to do that second, and what I found is I was almost never making it to that point because I would fall asleep during the portion where I was relaxing my body. And so I had to reverse the order, else I just never would get to that, and I wanted to get that piece in. So I do that part first. Sometimes don't make it through that first part, and then the second part is where I relax my body, and almost never make it all the way through that before I'm out. It's been really, really great for me getting a good night's sleep, not wasting a lot of time lying in bed with my mind racing or whatever, just getting down to business, putting my mind in the right state for a great night's sleep. And since I've started doing that affirmation as well, I don't have bad dreams anymore. Or if I do, it's once every few months, where before I started doing that, the frequency was much higher. So now my dreams are pleasant and they are insightful. When I go on to the show that's my morning routine, I will tell you about some of the dream analysis I do. And pretty much every night I'm sent a dream with some wise advice that my subconscious mind is sending to me while I'm sleeping. So it's really, really neat to have that available. And, again, the affirmations are setting the tone, and my body and my mind is responding. And it's really, really worked out well for me. I've had just a ton of success at that. Okay, and I guess I would be remiss if I didn't talk about how much sleep I get each night. I go to bed, I target going to bed at 10 o'clock. Sometimes it's more like 10:15, but it's 10 to 10:15 at night. And I get up between about 6 and 7 a.m. So 8 to 9 hours roughly. If you look at the studies say that adults need 7 to 9 hours. It can vary from person to person, and these differences can be hereditary, they can be genetic, but in general, you need 7.5 even, I've seen, as the low end for optimal health, optimal performance. About 7.5 to 9 hours, just depending on the person. That can vary as you age, as women go through menopause, women that get pregnant, that affects their hormone levels and the like. And, men, it can change throughout their life. And of course, babies need more and the like. But in general, adults need about 7.5 to 9. So I'm in that 8 to 9, and that seems to work pretty good for me. I really kind of like 8. I think 8 is where I feel about perfect, if I get up at around 6. And in addition to the amount of sleep you get, when you go to sleep makes a difference. Again, your circadian rhythms are huge as far as your sleep cycle. So for me, when the sun comes up in the morning, I want to be getting up. So around here, the sun usually rises between 6 to 7 a.m. depending on the time of the year. So I'm getting up roughly with the sun. And in the summer, at least, the sun sets about 9 o'clock. In the winter, of course, it's earlier than that. But going to bed when the sun sets gets a little ridiculous in the winter because it can set pretty early. I've chosen to go to bed at 10 and get up roughly when the sun gets up in the morning, roughly when the sun rises, I should say. And that keeps my circadian rhythms in line with the sun, which the sun sends signals to your body, to your brain, that help to regulate your clock and your circadian rhythms and the like. So that's going to lead towards more optimal sleep. Now, some of you might be thinking, Chris, you're going to bed at 10 o'clock at night. That's so early. Chris, you're sleeping 8 or 9 hours. How are you getting things done? That's a lot of time being spent on sleeping. Over a third of your day is being spent sleeping. Wouldn't you be a lot more productive if you could get by on 5 or 6 hours a night? And my answer to that is I'm actually much more productive now that I go to bed at a consistent time. I go to bed consistently at 10 and consistently get up around 6 or 7 in the morning because my batteries are recharged. When I wake up in the morning, I'm raring to go. Like I said, I keep it consistent. So even on weekends, I don't sleep in the weekend. I used to stay up late and, only get that, 6 hours of sleep or so on weeknights, and on weekends sleep in. And I didn't feel nearly as good as I do now, where I consistently go to bed at 10 o'clock at night, consistently get up at the same time in the morning, whether it's weekends, holidays, or whatever, and I'm more productive. I have so much energy in the morning. I accomplish more in my mornings now than what I used to in my entire day, and feel great doing it. I have tremendous energy, focus, and the like. And another thing I noticed as well is a lot of times staying up later at night didn't necessarily increase my productivity, as I just spend that time relaxing a lot of times, watching movies or reading and the like. At a certain point in the evening, it's just time to relax, and staying up isn't increasing my productivity time. It's just maybe increasing my relaxation time. And I'm not saying that relaxation isn't important, but I'm getting that in as well as being productive. The staying up late at night, that going to bed at 10 o'clock at night is not hurting my productivity. In fact, it's quite the opposite. And then I guess the final thing I should talk about is what happens if I wake up in the middle of the night. Well, the first thing I do is just try to go back to sleep. I don't want to get up if I don't have to. If I do have to get up to, say, go to the bathroom, or if I'm just really hungry, which doesn't happen often, but occasionally if I'm really hungry, I'll go up and get something to eat. Try to do it without turning on lights. That's the best thing you can do. Or if you do turn on lights, turn them on dimly. Or one thing, maybe I'll need a little light in one room, and what I'll do is I'll walk into the room where I need the light, and I'll reach back into the room I just left, like a hallway, let's say, and I'll turn the light on in the hallway in the room I just left, and so there's just some light streaming in the door, and that way I don't have a lot of bright light, because that bright light's going to wake you up more. But in general, if you can just go around, like say you have to get up and go to the bathroom, if you can do it without turning on a light at all, that's the best. Which that's typically, if I go to the bathroom, I don't bother to turn a light on. I know where everything's at. I'm fine. If you do need more light than that, you can get a night light that is like red or orange. And that won't mess with your sleep too badly if you use that. But for me, I try to not turn lights on. Or like I said, if I need light, like if I'm hungry and need to get in a cabinet to get some food out into the cupboard, I like that trick of turning the light on in the other room that I'm not in and letting the light come in through the door. So I'm just getting just enough light for me to see what I'm doing. And then once I've got the light that I need to do what I need to do to get the snack or whatever, then I turn the lights off. Of course, another solution is to put on amber glasses. I said I wear amber glasses at night often once the sun goes down to filter out that blue light. If I have to get up in the middle of the night, I can put on amber glasses. I typically don't, though. The main reason for that is not because it's not an effective hack to get around the light waking you up when you're up in the middle of the night, but just because my glasses, I typically keep them sitting on the nightstand beside my bed. And in order for me to find them in the dark, I would be reaching around and making noise, and I'm trying to be considerate of my wife and her getting a good night's sleep as well. So I try to just minimize the noise I'm making. And so I typically don't fumble around in the dark trying to find my glasses. I just quietly get up, slip out of bed, and then if I can, just don't turn lights on. Otherwise, there's that trick I said about the light in the hall. But normally, if I wake up in the night, I just try to go right back to sleep. I don't get out of bed if I don't have to. I'll lie in bed, and what I can do is I'll just repeat my affirmations. I'll start right back up with, again, controlling my breathing. Take a deep breath. When I'm breathing out, I'll say, tonight I'm going to get a great night's sleep. Breathe in, breathe out. I'm going to fall asleep quickly, and so on. I'll just go back through it again, and I'll go through relaxing my body. And typically, again, just like at night, I don't normally, when I first go to bed, I don't normally make it all the way through without falling asleep. The same thing happens if I wake up in the middle of the night. If I do that, my affirmations, I fall right back asleep before I finish them. That's what I do. And if I get all the way through my affirmations and I'm just awake and lying there still, at that point, I can still do more just breathing exercises. I can do meditation. Those are all good things to do. Just lie there and meditate, clear my mind, maybe focus on my breathing or be mindful of my body. I mean, there's a number of different meditative practices you can do. And any of them are effective at helping to calm you down and get you to go back to sleep. I don't subscribe to just one form of meditation. I'll do different ones. So, sometimes I'll do the ones where you're repeating a mantra, like, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. That's coordinated with my breath. So, of course, it's much slower because it's more like breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, And it's just a way to kind of create white noise in your brain, that mantra, to block out the thoughts so that your mind is clear. And in this case, you can then fall asleep. All right, so the last thing I wanted to talk about before I end this podcast was posture while I'm sleeping. So posture is something I'm very concerned about. Ever since I read the Sitting Solution, since I purchased that and have implemented the solutions that are in there, I've just had such dramatic impact on my life, on my health, on my state of mind and my well-being. And for those of you who have not listened to that podcast or aren't familiar with the sitting solution, I mean, sitting has been linked with all kinds of terrible things. They say it's like the new smoking. It's really the correlation between it and disease and premature aging, and even things like depression, and being inversely correlated with happiness and the like. It's something that's become very high on my radar. I've become very aware of my posture and doing things to correct the sitting I do. Of course, eliminating sitting completely is not practical for most people, and it's not something that I do in my life. But one of the things I discovered, after reading that book, was that to that point in my life, I was pretty much in a sitting position all the time. During the day, I work a desk job, so I'd be sitting at a desk. Before I had a job, I was at school all day, sitting in a desk. You get home from work, get home from school, you sit on the couch. Even on the way home, you're sitting in a car driving home. And then what I found is when I would go to bed at night, I would be in a sitting position in my bed. I'd lay on my side and we kind of curled up in a fetal position and have your back in a C shape and my knees pulled up. And when I look around now, you can see that, people that are older get hunched over. They get stuck in that sitting position with their shoulders hunched forward. And it's the exact same posture that somebody has when they're using a walker, leaning over a walker. That posture is what most people have. It's what I had when I would be sitting down. It's what I had when I would be sleeping in bed at night. And frankly, that scared the hell out of me because, I see the older people around me, age is setting in, and a lot of them are not aging gracefully. A lot of them are needing walkers and are having a lot of problems. And they're not really all that old. I'm not talking about people that are in triple-digit years on this planet here. People that still should be, in my opinion, spry and full of life and really enjoying the golden years are struggling. I know so many people where I see this, and I was heading down that path. So this is something that factors into how I sleep at night as well. So what I've discovered is I'm like, if I lie on my back without a pillow under my head, I have essentially perfect posture at that point. It's perfect standing posture, I should say. So that's what I've started doing. I started lying on my back. I've been switching to sleeping on my back and sleeping without a pillow for almost a year now, probably maybe 10 months. I didn't really keep track exactly when I started, but I know it was spring 2015. We're now closing in on the end of January 2016. Roughly 10 months is my guess. And it's something that transitioning to sleeping in a different posture is not easy. It's also one of the things that can cause you to not end up getting a good night's sleep. So if you're used to sleeping one way, and, I'm 41 years old, so last spring I was 40 years I've been sleeping one way. Now I'm going to just go another way. My body is not adapted to that. It adapted to a different way. And so I'd be uncomfortable to lay on my back for a long period of time. So it's one of those things you kind of have to, at least for me, I've been having to ease my way into it because on one hand I want to improve my posture, but on the other hand, getting a good night's sleep is also very important to me. So there's been a transition period. I've gotten to the point now where I sleep probably at least half the night like that on my back with no pillow. Again, that's like the perfect standing posture. If I'm lying like that, I don't even need to try to have good posture. If I just lie on my back with my arms at my side and no pillow, if I have a pillow, then it's like that you got the forward head going on because it's pushing your head out of alignment. Your head, when you're standing, should be, centered over your body. Your ears should be centered in the middle of your shoulders, essentially. And so if you have a pillow, that's pushing your head forward and leaning towards that hunched over position that you see the old people with walkers and the like having. So getting rid of a pillow was part of it. And it's something I had to transition into. So I talked about this with Chad Walding during the Sitting Solution podcast where, I went to a really thin pillow and then I went to a couple towels and then I went to one towel and then to zero towels. So if you just go straight to it, you're going to wake up like with your back hurting. You're probably not going to sleep very well and all that. So it's the more you can slowly transition to it, the better. But like I said, so that's what I started off lying on my back, no pillow. I'm at the point now where I make it about halfway through the night, and at that point I'm no longer really comfortable. So I will roll to my side, and at that point I will use a pillow when I go to my side. I keep one just on the side of the bed that I just grab it and stick it under my head. So that way, again, my neck is aligned with my spine. At that point, a pillow helps to keep you in alignment if you're lying on your side. And I've made a conscious effort to, when I am lying on my side, to not bring my knees up. So I'm in that sitting position. Instead, I leave my legs long, like I'm standing. I'm just now laying on my side instead of on my back, which in the past is not what I would do. So I made a conscious effort for that. And then another tip I got from Chad during the Sitting Solution podcast, he told me one of the things you can do to help with your posture is to put a pillow between your arms. If you're going to lie on your side, put a pillow between your arms, because one thing that will happen is the shoulder that's higher up will have a natural tendency to want to roll forward, and you won't get that nice posture. You won't have that real straight spine. A neutral spine is what you're looking for. And that will affect that if that shoulder rolls forward. So that's one thing. I'll put a pillow under my head, and I got a nice thick, stiff pillow that I'll put whatever arm is on top over that. So I'm like hugging the pillow, and that keeps that shoulder from coming forward. So I've got a nice straight neutral spine when I'm lying there. So that's where I'm at as far as posture goes. I'm working towards the point where I can just spend the night on my back and not worry about that. I think the more I can go through the night without any interruptions in sleep, without waking up because I'm feeling a little uncomfortable and feeling like I need to roll to my side and, grabbing pillows and the like, that's of course going to disrupt my sleep a little bit. And the more I could just sleep through the whole night without any kind of interruption like that at all, I think that would be superior, and we get a better night's sleep that way. So I'm working towards transitioning to that where I can just stay the entire night on my back with no pillow. But I'm not quite there yet. I spent 40 years sleeping one way, less than 1 year sleeping this way, and I haven't completed the transition yet, but I've come a long ways. So I'm feeling pretty good about that, and I'm still getting a phenomenal night's sleep, even though I, in the middle of the night will roll over and grab a pillow. I wake up now feeling much better than what I used to do. I used to be completely addicted to coffee and would drink essentially a pot a day. It would be like spread out throughout the day. I'd have a cup in the morning, and then an hour later another cup, 2 hours after that another cup, etc. I would just kind of spread it out throughout the day, and I felt like a zombie if I didn't get it. First thing in the morning I would just be a zombie until I got it, and then when it started to wear off I'd feel that coming on again, that grogginess, and now I don't have any coffee, and I feel like $1,000,000. Making these changes to improve the quality of my sleep has been really huge for me. And it's not been just like one thing. As you've heard throughout this, there are several things I've introduced to improve the quality of my sleep, to improve my posture, and to improve my state of mind at night. But every little bit helps. These changes, they accumulate to where the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. And that's where I'm at now. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this. Like I said, more of these are coming. Next up in the My Life series will be my morning routine. All right, take care.
divine power fills the air. Carving symbols so careful, so true. The gods mark our place on both sides. Thrones of power in you, my dear. Thunder and lightning she rides. Hammer comes down and hammer comes down, and the better man hits the ground. Hammer comes down and hammer comes down, and the better man hits the ground. Hammer comes down, the hammer comes down, and the better man hits the ground. Hammer comes down, the hammer comes down, and the better man hits the ground. Dance under moonlight, the spirits watch on, spinning around and around. The diamond that sails through the star-filled night sky. Not a single green touches the ground. My son, this gift I give to you.